Chapter 7. Emergence of Powerful Empire. Reading Objectives. Janapadas and Mahajanapadas. The Kingdoms of Magadha. The Nandas and the Mauryas. The Mauryas, Chandragupta Bindusara, Ashoka. The Mauryan administration. Case study, Ashoka the Great. In the history of India, the Vedic age was an important period. It was the time when the Aryans began to settle in India. In the later Vedic period, many states developed across the Ganga plain. These territories were known as Janapadas and named after the ruling clan in each area. Along with Vedic text, Buddhist texts and the Jain literature provide vivid description of the society during this period. Some information has also been obtained from the excavations excited at certain sites, such as the city of Rajagrai, the capital of Magadha, 600 to 400 BC. Enrich yourself. Jana, tribe, pada, foot, or foothold and types of government. Janapadas. The Aryans had moved further into the Ganga and Yamuna plains and different clans settled down in different tracts, like Panchala, Bareilly district, Surasena, Mathura, Koshala, Awadh, Kashi, Vedha, Magadha and so on. These small states were known as the Janapadas. The small tribes of the earlier period made paths to big kingdoms. Mahajanapadas. With the passage of time, these Janapadas captured the neighboring territories and thus were merged to build prominent independent kingdoms known as Mahajanpadas. The 16 Mahajanpadas rose before of Buddhism. Out of them, Magadha, Avanti, Koshala and Vatsa were most important. Republic. Some Republican Janapadas and Mahajanapadas were ruled by elected chief, Raja, with a group of people who held the power and took the decisions. There were no inherited king to rule over the kingdom. The Republic were mostly in less fertile or hilly regions. The Shakya of Kapilavastu, the Videhas of Mithila and the Lichavas of Vaishali were the most important Republican Mahajanapadas during this period. Monarchies. A monarchical Mahajanapada was a form of government, ruled by a hereditary monarch. The king had political power. He had a large army and many sources of revenue. Koshala, Magadha and Vatsa, Avanti with its center at Ujjayani were powerful monarchical Mahajanapadas. The kingdoms of Magadha, the Nandas and the Mauryas. The kingdom of Magadha was located in the Ganga valley and where the soil was very fertile to yield plenteous harvests. The thick forests were the main source of timber and elephants. The Magadha had large deposits of iron ore, which made it possible to make agricultural tools and weapons. Magadha was one of the chief empire of India during those times because of the political, social and geographical conditions of the region. Bimbisara, Ajatashtru and Mahapadmananda dominated the Magadha first, later the Mauryas flourished. Bimbisara, 542 to 493 BC, Bimbisara was the ruler of Magadha kingdom by getting into matrimonial alliances and mother, Kashi. He also established a well assisted by a council of ministers. He made a tour often to well with his matters. Get to know more. The earliest capital of Magadha was Rajagrai, which bounded by hills on all sides. The new capital Patliputra was located at the confluence of the Ganga, a natural barrier against any assail. Ajatashatru, 493 to 461 BC. Ajatashatru was the successor of Bimbisara. Like his father, he also adopted a policy of conquests and expansion. Ajatashatru made Magadha the most powerful kingdom in the north. The Nandas, 364 to 321 BC. After the death of Ajatashatru, Shishunga overthrew his son and Mahapadma Nanda overthrew the Shishunaga dynasty. When Alexander invaded India in 326 BC, the Nanda king, Dana Nanda ruler ruled over Magadha. He was the last Nanda and was very unpopular. Finally, he was overthrown by Chandragupta Maurya. Do you know which was one of the world's first democracies? It was known as Vijji Sangha, Union of Vijji, which consisted of several Janapadas, Gramas, villages, Gosthas, groups. Chandragupta Maurya, 321 to 297 BC. The invasion of Alexander had created agitation in North India. Chandragupta Maurya was a courageous man of ordinary background. He took advantage of these conditions. With the help of Chanakya in 321 BC, Chandragupta overthrew the Nanda dynasty and founded the Mauryan Empire. After consolidating his position in Magadha, Chandragupta drove the Greek out of Punjab and conquered it in 322 BC. Chandragupta became the undisputed ruler of northern India. Chandragupta also conquered parts of central India and united the whole of northern India under Mauryan rule. Chandragupta ruled for about 25 years. It is said that he became a Jain ascetic and left his throne to his son Bindusara. Get to know more. At this time, a Greek general of Alexander the Great named Seleucus Nicator ruled over areas across the river Indus. Chandragupta defeated Seleucus in 305 and annexed the entire Punjab and areas across the Indus River. When peace was made between Seleucus and Chandragupta, Seleucus was forced to give him Kabul, Gandhara and parts of Persia. It is said that Seleucus also gave his daughter Helen's hand in marriage to Chandragupta. Bindusara, 297 to 273 BC. After Chandragupta, Bindusara consolidated his power in Magad. Under him, the Mauryan Empire stretched across the Deccan and Mysore and therefore included the almost whole of India. The southern kingdoms, however, were on friendly terms with the Mauryas. So, they were not a treat to the empire. Only the region of Kalinga, present-day Orissa, and some kingdoms in south were not conquered. Searching dictionary. Edict. Statements issued by a ruler for the public. Infantry. Soldiers who fight on foot. Ashoka, the Great, 273 to 232 BC. Ashoka, one of the greatest rulers of India, ascended the throne in 273 BC. During Bindusara's reign he was posted as the governor of Takshashila and Ujjain. The Mauryan administration Ashokan inscription, Megasthenes Indica, Kautilya's Arthashastra gives a good knowledge about the various aspects of administration, economy, society and religion of the people. Central government. The king was the head of the state. He had judicial, legislative and executive powers. The king issued ordinances. The edicts of Ashoka are examples of ordinances. The king was assisted in administration by a council of ministers or Mantri Parishad. There were some other officers as Adhyakshas, superintendents, Amatyas, executive officers, Mahamantras, governors, Pradeshaks, revenue officers, Rajukas, judicial officers, and Yuktas, treasury officers. Provincial government. The empire was divided into 4 provinces of Magadha, Takshashila, Ujjain and Swaranagiri. Each province was under a prince. The provinces were further subdivided into districts and the districts into villages. The Pradeshtha was the head of the district. He was assisted by Yuktas and the Rajuka. The head of the village was called Gramika. Revenue system. Yukta was the revenue officer. The land revenue was the main source of income. It was fixed between 1/4 and 1/6 of the total produce. Roads, hospitals, irrigation etc. and payment of salaries of the officers and maintenance a large army were covered by the money collected through taxes. Military administration. The Mauryan army consisted of infantry, cavalry, elephants and chariots. There was a board of 30 officers to look after each wing of the army. Besides, there was a good network of spy system to inform the king about the developments. Trade. The Mauryas had developed a broad relations with several countries, like Syria, Rome, Egypt, China and Sri Lanka. Punch-marked coins with symbols of hills, trees, the sun or the circle with arrows were used by the Mauryan merchants. Do you know, Pataliputra, the capital of the empire, got grand description in Indica written by Megasthenes. There was a deep moat around the city to protect it from enemy attacks. Towers and gateways, along wooden walls surrounded the city. The king's palace was made of stone. The work included registration of births and deaths, collection of municipal taxes, regulation of trade and commerce, inspection of manufactured goods, industries and welfare of foreigners were looked after by a committee of 30 members. Society and art. Society was divided among Brahmans, Kshatriyas, Vishya, Shudra. They worked mainly as farmers, shepherds, merchants, craftsmen, artisans and soldiers. Everyone respect monks. Ashoka built over 84,000 stupas and viharas. The most impressive of Ashokan pillars is at Sarnath, which is 23 meters high and famous for its bell-shaped capital. They had 4 lions carved out of solid rock at the capital. They are called lion capital. Below each lion is chakra or wheel. Our national emblem is derived from this lion capital and chakra wheel with the famous Mauryan Polish. End of the empire. After the death of Ashoka in 232 BC, the Mauryan Empire began to decline. The successors of Ashoka were weak. They were not able to control the vast empire. In 185 BC, Brihadratha, the last Mauryan ruler, was killed by his commander-in-chief Pushyamitra Sunga, ending the Mauryan dynasty. Case study: Ashoka the Great, a king and a monk. The War of Kalinga, Orissa, became a turning point in the life of Ashoka. After a fierce battle, Ashoka came to hate war after he had seen the bloodshed of the conquest of Kalinga. He became an ardent follower of the Buddha. Ashoka's Dhamma was a code to live a pure life. He explained his ideas in his edicts, which he placed throughout his empire. The main principles of Dhamma are: respect one's elders, teachers and monks. Help the poor and needy. Treat slaves and servants kindly. Speak the truth at all times. Obey one's parents and follow the path of ahimsa. Live together in peace and harmony. Ashoka abandoned royal hunt and also ordered to reduce the cooking of meat in his own royal kitchen. He appointed officials as Dharma Mahamitras, to spread and encourage Dhamma to the people. He carved the principles of his Dhamma on rocks and pillars in Pali language so that all could read them easily. He sent many missionaries to many countries. His own son Mahendra and his daughter Sanghamitra went to Sri Lanka. The edicts were his ideas on administration, behavior of people towards one another and religion. They certify to Ashoka's efforts to maintain peace and his Dhamma. The edicts were written on rocks and stone pillars in Prakrit, the language of the common people, so that they could understand and follow, while in the northwest the edicts were written in Greek, Kharosthi and Aramaic languages. Fact 1. Who were the authors of Indika and Arthashastra? 2. Who was Chanakya? 3. Which was the most famous stupa built by Ashoka? 4. What was the king's palace made of? Word to know. The small states were known as the Janapadas and large, independent kingdoms known as Mahajanapadas. Magadha was most powerful during the reign of Bimbisara and his son Ajatashatru. Megasthenes, Indika and Kautilya's Arthashastra give information about the Mauryas. Chandragupta was the first empire builder. He defeated Seleucus in 305 BC. The money collected through taxes was usually spent on public works. The lion capital serves as our national emblem.